Alright. Apologies for the fucking camera. Again. It's a huge deal to replace an entire phone, as you guys know. I still have half my life in my old iPhone. I don't use that much, but I might try to clear the memory off of that and start using that, because that's got a really good camera on it. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it. And it used to be really, really hard to get those photos off of an iPhone, except onto iCloud. And then you can't access that anywhere except on fucking Mac devices, which, you know, I have a Linux computer and other stuff, so... the phone situation is the whole thing. And if I'm going to pay, like... because I did actually damage the camera on this, I dropped it right on a pebble, right where the freaking camera is. And so it still works, but you can see, like... You can see some of this stuff is like a reflection of my little LED lights up there. And sometimes I get like weird little like light shards coming in from the top of it. It's kind of interesting, but I know it's a distraction and not ideal. But if I'm going to fix the screen on this, the phone is only like $240 or something. It's like I should just replace the whole thing. And I got to go through, deal with all the memory and all the freaking blah, 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 all the stuff. So there's a hassle. Anyways, I'm going to keep recording with this because it's not the end of the world. This whole reading, I was doing off the Kabbalah oracle with the tree of life in it. From my memory filled up, and I spent most of yesterday dealing with that and with the freaking SD card and moving stuff around, moving like videos and pictures and shit. So I'm just like I'm torn between options, and then storing things and then going through things I haven't gone through yet over the months. Dude, I've been producing a lot of stuff in the past year and a half. Not, you know, most of it not related to anything I'm going to be posting online, but a lot of relevant stuff, especially for all the legal cases and situations that I have going on now with these narcs and freaking goblins and psychopaths, man. They're ramping up. Well, they've been kind of ramped up since February this year, like clockwork. February, March, it's always the season. But praise God, man, it's almost done. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. They can't keep going. They already spent all the money. So like, ay. This is what we were working on. Yeah, the other day. The moment, the surgeon, man of blood. Sorry, I got so sidetracked with my freaking ADD and stuff. The moment is one of my favorite cards in this deck, and the surgeon. I think I talked about these when I was sitting at the park bench. But I feel like collectively and individually, if this is your reading, it's like we're definitely on this kind of precipice energy. Major things shifting astrologically. It's like it's a whole new world. It's a whole new universe being born, and we're just right in the middle of it, right in the guts and the blood and the towers and the trauma and the explosions and things being torn down. And it's a lot, dude. It's a lot. Even if the rest of the world wasn't moving so fast like it is now with all the technology and AI and even like the internet and things of recent decades, humans have never had to go through something like this that we're aware of, you know. But possibly in ancient history, you know, start talking about like Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff like that. But that's another episode. Anyways, as far as we know, we're going through exponentially more stuff. So give yourself some grace and some love if you're just feeling banged up, dude. But yeah, looking at the planets, looking at the stars, especially Pluto and Aquarius, and Uranus going into Gemini right now, and Chiron in Aries. That's the core wounding in a really powerful fire sign. For all of us, that's gonna be hitting all of us somewhere in our freaking chart. Some of us more than others. Some of us very direct hits right now. Anyways, I'm gonna get through the rest of this. And like I said, I don't usually read these cards upside down, but this one came out and it just felt like it wanted to be that way. So, second half of the reading, got the Coward water sign. Number 3, applause. This water sign of suit 6. 448, and then the Uprooted. Is that air? Yeah, I think tan is air. It's like sand in this. I think green is the earth. It's like a pale. Colors are very pale. Uprooted is from suit number 2. In reverse. And remember in the original, remember in the first reading, I'll take a picture of it and put it on a post, but you have 3, 6, 11, 3, 6, 2. So there's like 3, 6, 3, 6, and then 2. It's very interesting. And then number 11. Man, blood, I love this card, man. It's freaking beautiful. Bloodlines, progeny. It's so much more than just the physical. Spiritual progeny. Bloodlines through spiritual traditions and stuff it was talking about in the book. I'm just gonna say, like, what my intuition is saying with this one is, with the coward and applause, is very much related to like what we're seeing in the political sphere right now, with cluster B disorders on full display, people that are obsessed with power, and I talked about this in a couple recent videos and shorts, is like the narcissistic and psychopathic and sociopathic personality disorders, as well as BPD and histrionic to some extent. They're obsessed with applause and fame. Most of them are, not always overtly, but some of them, especially the ones that are in the public sphere. And generally that's to cover up deep weeks of inadequacy and self-hatred and things that have never been addressed from childhood trauma. But I think we're seeing that just in full display right now. There's in the United States and some other Western countries, but in the U.S. it's particularly bad, obviously. There's just so much fear of all this shit coming out and having to deal with the consequences. They try to turn this way and that way and this way and that way to get applause in other realms just to cover it up. Covered up, but the way that this book talks about it is kind of interesting. Let me read the piece out of The Coward. The Coward is this book is so fascinating. Possible meanings: betrayal, or a person who acts as a traitor, lies, an area of life in which you are falling short or selling yourself short, fear of the unknown, having the wisdom to hold back rather than rushing in recklessly. Are you living with a lie? Ask yourself this question and what it is, if so, and what's holding you back. Is there something that you need to tackle internally or within your life, something you're not facing? What would be the very worst that could happen if you abandon the lie that you're living with and take on that need, take on that decision? If you can face that worst case scenario, then you have nothing else to fear. I don't want to read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but the oracle and the commentary, it's like a person who runs away from a situation acknowledging that they're frightened is not a coward. It's the person who makes up an excuse for running away, and if that's on an internal or an external place. Because a lot of people, in my opinion, where most problems come from in society is from people that run away from their problems internally. They're not facing their shit. They're not dealing with their shit. They've never done thorough self-examination and cleaned up the things that are distasteful, the things that they don't like, the things that don't work for them. But yeah, I think I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to harp on this concept, being thoroughly honest internally. The 12 steps gives a great process to go through that with somebody else, with another person, and with God. And when we don't do that, man, the repercussions can be catastrophic, and a lot of times we won't see them until months, sometimes years afterwards, and realize what it was connected to. I just had one of those in my own life. It was like January, I think it was Capricorn season, of an old financial amends that I didn't make from 30 years ago. about 30 years ago. Yeah, I was like 17 or 18 at the time. And I've done a lot of work, a lot of 12-step work, and cleaned up my mess with people all over the place. But there's this little freaking thing. I'm like, wow, dude, that's probably blocking my energy and my financial flow. It came up when I was in Colorado last time, like 12 years ago. I was going to go and deal with it, and then I just didn't at the time, and then I ended up leaving there again in 2015. And then it just kind of went onto the back burner. But these things, dude, we got to clean up our messes, man, no matter how small it seems. When you make stuff right with another person that you harmed, even if it was inadvertently at the time and you realize you did it later on, man, it feels so good. And it's so fucking scary to do. It's so scary to do this shit, man. That's why we need help. We need mentors and coaches and other people that are walking this path with us and that have gone through this shit before. You know, especially in recovery settings, man, it's crucial. It's crucial. You gotta have somebody with you, somebody that's got your back. It's scary. It's one of the scariest things to do because the pain factor, social conditioning, like being rejected is, 11:11 on the clock is one of the most dangerous things for humans, because being thrown out of the tribe in the past meant death. Absolutely. For millions of years of our evolution, that's what it meant. So you go along to get along, and secrets and things get swept under the rug sometimes. In small tribes, that rarely happened because 10 or 15 people, everybody knew each other. Everybody knew everything about what everyone was doing at all times. So it was, most of the time it was a non-issue. But if you got thrown out of the tribe, you're probably going to die and then not have any offspring. So that's why social pressure is so intense, man. It's so freaking intense. And it uses the same circuits as physical pain in our body. So it makes sense, man. But these things aren't going to kill you. But they can destroy your life if you don't deal with them and clean them out. And like we're seeing in the politics right now, like that's what I brought up at the beginning, in the political sphere, people that are not cleaning up their messes and refuse to, dragging the entire freaking world into potential armed conflict and nuclear war because their inability to look at themselves in the freaking mirror. And everybody else got to pay the price now. It's wild, man. It's freaking wild. Coward applause. I'm not going to read this one. Let's see what it says. Applause number 6. Applause gives recognition and acceptance. It may be given in joy or sadness, but its generosity is a sign that the audience recognizes the possibilities in what they have witnessed and accepts the shortcomings of the performance. Applause arouses, consoles, and encourages. You gotta give yourself a round of applause. We gotta be our own cheerleaders a lot of times, and we gotta come together and be there for each other. I believe. That's huge, man. I've had some people that I barely knew stand up for me in this past year. That made all the difference. Made all the fucking difference in me making it through this hardest and darkest season of my fucking life, man. Well, on par with the absolute worst. At the end of a task, praise for a job well done, seeking recognition. This may hold you back. If you're too focused on applause and having other people recognize you for what you do, it can be a problem. But remember, we deserve it. Like, we're social creatures, and sometimes we got to give it to ourselves, especially if you're not used to having it. If you grew up in a family that was toxic and dysfunctional, or that weaponized celebration to get what they wanted and to keep you in line and shit like that. The moment, I don't know if it's going to feel like two separate things, because the moment, the surgeon, man of blood, coward, applause, and then the uprooted. The uprooted was in reverse. So I feel like, I know when I first got this deck, this came up, and now having it reversed, because I've been in an uprooted place for a long time, for years now, since getting sick with Lyme disease and I had like chronic pneumonia and all kinds of viruses that I didn't find out for like 6 years, and not like hepatitis or HIV. Praise God, man. Praise God. Even when I was out using, I was careful with stuff overall. I never did anything way too stupid, but those ones that affect your liver and your blood, well, some of the ones that I got are blood. Anyways, I don't need to get into all that. But I spent like 6 years undiagnosed, man. Just I was in the Northwest, so I was like dying from pneumonia. So I went to Colorado and then the Southwest, and just trying to find somewhere. Completely uprooted, man. That was my last Jupiter return, interestingly enough. But having it come out here in reverse, I think that season, if you've been in that season for a long period of time, for months or years, like I have, or less, or more, or if you've felt uprooted your whole freaking life, I know a lot of people have in this collective. A lot of the wounded healers have never felt like they belonged in any place. Definitely not in their family, you know. Geographic moves can have a huge impact on our bodies. Astrocartography is another sphere that I've dipped into in recent years, and it's profound, because where the planets were lined up on the planet at the time that you were born, just like it affects our soul and our psyche and our blueprint, our subconscious mind, and what we're here to do. There's places that you can go in the world, and they work better, they feel better. You come to connections really easily. You have like good luck and expansion. Like if you're on your Jupiter line or close to it, if you're on your moon line, like emotional things and connections are going to be much easier and flow a lot better. So even though it's like, you know, there's that other concept of like wherever you go, there you are. Yes, there's truth in that. But being in different places, different cultures, different languages, geographies, all of these things profoundly impact your life and your experience. So if you feel like you've always been in the wrong place, if you can look at your astrocartography, that's really useful. But if you've been to places that you liked and that felt good, like think about how you can spend more time there, or potentially move there, you know, depending on your life situation. If you have like kids or grandkids or not, partners, exes, all that kind of stuff, obviously, you know, plays a big piece in that for many of us. But I think that season of being uprooted and being blown around in the wind is going to be over. Or maybe you were rooted into the wrong place for the wrong reasons, and it's time to rip those out and see where the wind carries you. You know, some people have more gypsy in their blood. Some people are travelers and wanderers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Our culture in the United States strongly discourages that, but there's always been nomadic people throughout human history. And now with making money online and all the kind of like mobile businesses that you can have, it's easier than ever to do that if you get things set up. So for some people, being uprooted, not being rooted into one place is the way to go, or it might be the way to go for a season. So look at, and Gemini, I mean, Uranus in Taurus was a huge piece of that, shaking those things up and looking at our foundational like safety. How do we make money? How do we live? How do we connect with the earth? All of those kinds of things. And that's ending right now. It's an 8-year cycle, 2018 through 2025, 2026. And so that's changing right now. Uranus is going into Gemini, so that's like Aquarius and electric energy, tower energy, shaking things up. You know, Uranus sits on its side. It orbits sideways, 90 degrees from all the other planets. So it's like new ways to look at things, and fascinating when you start learning more about the planets and all this stuff, man. But anyways, the moment, the surgeon, this could be a big transitional moment. So the surgeon is about cutting out what's unnecessary and getting rid of diseased and dysfunctional things, but also being careful not to cut too much. Be very, very careful not to cut too much, too deeply, carelessly, thoughtlessly. You know, examine deeply what you're looking at. I think man of blood, woman of blood. To me, what's jumping out right now with this reading is like our soul tribe, and many of us don't have blood relatives that we can be connected with for various reasons. And so as we're transitioning this moment in our lives and in humanity, cutting out things, making big decisions, it's worth looking at who are the people we want to have in our lives. Because the people that you have around you daily, the people that you have in your corner when there's crises, or just in the day-to-day situations, like, you know, the 5 closest people to you have major impact and largely determine your life, the quality of your life. And if you don't have any relationships around you, you know, that vacuum is going to get filled by default. one way or another, because our psyches need to connect with other human beings, at least on a small level, no matter how introverted we are. Introversion, extroversion, ambiversion. We do need people. Anyways, the moment, the surgeon. Who's your blood? Who's your soul tribe? Who's your new people? Look at that. The coward and applause. That's for me, dude. I'm really sitting with that, and I have been for months for months now, since November, when I started doing some deep inventory work again, which had been a little bit. So there's always things to adjust. There's always places to clean up and improve in our lives. But look if there's something that you haven't been. I think just look internally. I'm really picking up this is more of an internal thing overall, even though I was talking about politics and our situation. The macro is usually an invitation to us to look at those exact things in our lives, So just see if you've been fully honest with yourself in every department of your life. Sit with that. Bring that to 2111. Bring that to prayer and meditation. Bring that to God. Ask God if there's anything that you need to see, if there's anything you need to adjust, if there's any amends you need to make. During this time, these transition times can be powerful for that. The energy is already geared towards that, man. Whoa, man. If you're male or female, I know I use gendered terms very loosely. I don't care. I don't care about that shit very much. People are people. Humans are humans, dude. Our physical gender is another combo. Anyways, the coward and applause. Give yourself applause for how far you've come. But also if you're waiting for applause from people that can't give it, from family, from the world or whatever, just understand there's nothing wrong with wanting applause. Wanting to be recognized for who you are and what you've done, that is a normal human drive. It's completely fucking normal. And many of us never had that in our freaking lives, dude. So find your family, dude. Soul Tribe wants to shout you out. Soul Tribe wants to lift you up. Soul Tribe wants to hug you and hold you and fucking celebrate you. That's the real ones, dude. The ones that do that, the ones that offer that to you, and not in a narc way to freaking rip the rug out from under you 5 minutes later, or 5 weeks later, or however long they're playing their sick games. Motherfuckers. Soul Tribe. Applause. I'm cheering you on, dude. If you're alive, if you're alive in this season of humanity, hats off to it. It's brutal out there. It's brutal out there right now. And the uprooted. It's the end. It's the end of Uranus and fucking Taurus, man. Let's see if that's all we got. Yeah, that theme of soul tribe and soul family has been coming through strong. Not just recently, but for the last year and a half, more so than ever. It's time, dude. It's time for the collective to unite and rise up. And we're so much more powerful. When people of the same heart and mind come together, when we pray together, when we create things together, it's not just 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 + 1, and then each one of those multiplies. And then at some point, especially if you're doing God's work, you start putting exponentials on some of those. Because God and the angels and the archangels and the benevolent spirits and your ancestors of light and all your spirit team and all the powers and forces that are helping humanity to evolve during this time, seen and unseen, they all start conspiring to help you. And if you're with a group of people, it can be really fucking powerful. It can be really powerful. Good stuff, dude. This is the moment. This is the moment, dude. Tree of life. They gave us clues, man. Humans have been through these things before. They gave us clues. They gave us roadmaps. It's what your birth chart is. It's what your fucking astrology chart is. It's a roadmap for your entire freaking life. Your soul blueprint for this incarnation. It's not fixed. Doesn't determine things, but makes it a lot easier to understand. Makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on. If anybody needs one of those, I do offer that. Those readings are pretty in depth. I spent about 5 or 6 hours on them generally. Give you a big printout that you can take with you and evolve with. On the bottom of the deck, we got on the bottom of the deck. Got another 7 card. They have the most full wheel. Sorry, it's a little blurry on that camera. The Treasury. Is it gonna flip it? Treasury. Do I dare to try and take a picture, or is that gonna mess up this whole thing? I think I can take a screenshot while I have it rolling, but we're 26 minutes in. I don't think I'm gonna risk it. The Treasury. It's like the 10 of Cups. I mean, the 10 of Pentacles. Everything. The Treasury. The Hierophant. The people that guard the Treasury for the kingdom. Getting close. It's getting close, eh? Love you guys.